Welcome, everybody. So glad you could be here. I'm Tomar Levine, and this is the first of 2 free calls that Catherine and I are giving on healing our money wounds. The next one is next week. Following that, we'll be offering a 4-week class, and we'll tell you more about that. So I also want to let you know that we are going to be doing an exercise that will require writing. So it'd be good to get something to write with so that when we start it, you won't have to be hunting around for it. So I'd like to introduce my co-host, Catherine Van Wetter.
Okay.
Catherine is an inner resolution facilitator who works with individuals, families, and groups and invites people to lay down their story and step into a field of grace. She leads healing circles and workshops on the soul of the heart, inspiring solutions. She does this in Oregon mostly, where she lives. Catherine holds a master's degree in social work, is trained in a variety of healing techniques that can help individuals come to a place of peace within themselves. She's the author of a book and meditation CD, The Soul of the Heart, and is also a contributing author to the best-selling book, Overcomers, Inc., Stories of Hope, Courage, and Inspiration. Catherine has been the host of 4 different radio shows, including From Net Worth to Self-Worth, dedicated to financial literacy and personal growth. And for more information, you can visit Catherine's website, www.totheheartofthematter.com. So, Catherine, I'm so happy that you're here.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for the introduction. And now my turn to also introduce my dear friend. Tomar is a life purpose, career, and creativity coach who helps people in the second half of life discover their purpose and release their limiting beliefs so that they can fulfill their highest potential. As a late bloomer herself, she is living proof that it's never too late to bloom. Tomar holds 2 master degrees in fine art and art therapy and was a holistic healer and psychotherapist before becoming a certified coach. Tomar is also a co-author of the best-selling book, Overcomers, Inc., True Stories of the Hope, Courage, and Inspiration. She is currently working on an illustrated fable, The Flowering Apple Tree, It's Never Too Late to Bloom, and a book for women, Your Time to Bloom, Living Your Purpose, and Giving Your Gifts at Midlife and Beyond. And for more information and to learn more about Tomar's work, you can go to www.yourtimetobloom.com. And what an honor and privilege it is to be here tonight. Everyone, thank you for showing up.
Yes, thank you, everybody, and thank you, those of you who will be listening on recording. So the first thing we're going to do is, Catherine, would you like to just bring us all to a kind of quiet, centered place with a brief little meditation?
Thank you. I'd love to. For those of you who are driving, hopefully nobody's driving at this point. If you are, maybe you can do this at a later time. For those of you who are sitting at home or someplace comfortable, take a nice deep breath in. And as you do that, begin to focus your attention around the area of your heart as you breathe in gratitude, appreciation, and love for yourself, for those in your family, and thanking yourself for taking the precious time that you're taking to come and join us tonight for this call, and taking the time to go into those sacred places of yourself. So we're bringing all your parts forward so that they can fully be present while we're on this call tonight. And as you breathe in and exhale out, begin to come back onto the call, feeling more centered, grounded, and more present. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. So I just want to say a few words first about why Catherine and I decided to do this work, these calls in the class. So we have both struggled for years with our own money wounds and our own limiting beliefs about money. And, came a point where I, for one, decided I couldn't keep avoiding this issue. I had to confront it. I had to really take it on as a soul task, actually. I really got the message that my soul's next task was to look money square in the face and heal whatever was not working in me in relation to money. And, I want to address something that somebody mentioned earlier before we started recording the call, that, there's a lot of talk about the reason you're not earning money is somehow it's rooted in your consciousness or it's in your cells, and, blaming us as though there isn't anything real happening in the economy in the world. So I want to say that I totally agree that we are not in control of the whole world. And, there is a world out there that's objective, that's separate from us. There are circumstances beyond our control. However, I personally don't want to be contributing to whatever the difficulties I may be having with money. I don't want to be contributing from my own consciousness. I want to clear the cobwebs out of my consciousness the best that I can around money and many other things, so that whatever happens in the world, I'm not blaming myself, but also so that I actually have a clear, open space and I am as empowered as I can be to take advantage of opportunities, to move freely into life. So Catherine and I have been exploring these matters in a lot of different ways. We've been reading some fabulous books. We may put a book list out in an email to everybody. And we've been doing our own inner work and outer work. And we found some really remarkable tools that are starting to make a huge difference in our own lives. So we decided to share these tools with all of you and with everyone who is interested. Do you want to add anything to that, Catherine?
Well, it's been interesting how you and I have talked over the last year, ever since the Overcomers came out, around financial things. And because of the work that I do with the family systems, often some of these patterns, which we'll be covering later and a little bit tonight, seem to stem from things that we've carried from generations before us. And it's remarkable that we're in this time and place right now within the United States where so much of this is coming up. And I know from a personal perspective, it was something that I had buried deep inside because money wasn't an issue at the time. And within the last year or so, that has shifted. And so some of these areas that I had managed to discard or push away had come up. And grateful that there is so much awareness around this now, and that there are techniques that we can become aware of to move through these parts of ourselves that no longer serve us.
Yeah, and you mentioned the times we're living in. I think we know that we're living in very important times, and to me, really quite momentous times. And I think the issues around the economy and around relation of the individual to the group, to the collective, to right action, to prosperity, abundance, sharing, giving and receiving, all of that is up for re-examination right now. And I'm very excited to be being able to contribute something to that work in progress that I think is human consciousness. So we're going to be talking about money on these calls, but it isn't really just about money. It's not mostly about survival or how to make ends meet in this economy. That's up for a lot of us. It's important, and that will be included in what we are dealing with. But what I see as the underlying issue is these issues around money and prosperity and abundance are more about how do we participate in life? How are we able to bring ourselves forward and give our gifts to the world, how can we make the contribution that we were born to make? For I believe that is the truth, that we are all born with a purpose. And how can we then receive back from the world what will be given to us in exchange for those gifts? So how can we be part of an energy exchange that flows through reality, through human reality, through the world, through nature, through time and space? How can we be part of that energy exchange that happens when we are willing to fully show up in life and dance the dance? So I'm aware that the fear and constriction around money, my own, and I see that in others, that's one of the biggest ways we hold ourselves back from stepping into life, from sort of daring to participate more fully. It's one of the chief ways we keep ourselves small because we feel threatened in that area. We want to be safe. And most of us, the truth is, have bought into a much smaller picture of who we are and what we are about. And, it's almost inevitable that we have that smaller picture because, in order to have the full, complete picture of who each of us is as an individual and as a species, we kind of have to be enlightened. So I'm not saying that that's where we're going here, although that would, that's the ultimate goal, I would love to believe. But we can make great headway in at least acknowledging how much we've cut ourselves short from our true potential. So we're approaching these calls and classes from the perspective of money, because money is like a major issue for a lot of people. It's up right now in the whole economy. But also because that's where a lot of our wounding lies around our feelings of self-worth and capacity and empowerment or lack of empowerment to be fully engaged in life. Do you want to add anything to that, Catherine?
Well, it is phenomenal how as a culture so many of us have learned to look outside ourselves for happiness and have looked outside ourselves with plastic money. And you made the comment of the connection between the finance and self-esteem and self-respect. And now that for many folks that reality of the expansive credit card or looking at oneself is coming to a halt, I've noticed in many folks that I've worked with and also in cases with myself that having that taken away, all of a sudden an individual is standing there with wondering if they have the resources or the resiliency to be able to make money on their own. And so what an amazing time that as a culture and globally we are going through this financial shift, which in many ways can be quite frightening for folks, and also a different way of looking at money as an energy exchange. Tomar, as you were talking earlier with the energy and the reciprocity of exchange. So looking at this at a deeper level rather than how much money we have in our pocketbook or in our bank account, what may cause somebody to be able to earn a lot of money who is and others not. So I'm excited to see how all of this is done.
Yeah. Yes, and what you said just now made me think of another point, which is that we as a culture, we've had a rude awakening, so to speak. I think we might be in for more. And awakening is really the name of the game. I think that's the process that the world is going through. So, I myself, you, many people, in terms of our relationship to money, perhaps shifting, that's a personal awakening, and that personal awakening is part of a larger awakening. So, whichever way the world is going to be moving, a great blessing is happening as we start to awaken more. So,
and also with that note, it's also realizing the amount of fear that can crop up if someone does not have the money to pay the bills. So it's, I know we can talk about the blessing in there somewhere, and
right.
when one is in the middle of it, it can be quite catastrophic.
Yes, no, that's of course, and I don't want to belittle that. And even any kind of change is frightening. Even small change, even sometimes change that would seem to be for the good, is still discomforting. So we're going to probably be learning to be more interdependent and more flexible and more resilient, but we need to be talking about these things, and we need to be in community talking about these things. So I want to mention something. I saw the other day a video in which a woman asks a very powerful and a sort of confrontational question. And she asked to the viewers, are you 100% committed to your prosperity or to whatever it is you say you want? Because if you're not 100% committed, she said, I won't be able to help you. So what did she mean by that? What is 100% commitment, and why is that important? So the way I think of it is all of you on board? Some of you on the call are familiar with the concept of inner parts. You could think of it as that. Are the parts pulling together on the same team? Or are your thoughts, your feelings, your desires, your images, energy, your expectations, and your beliefs all on the same team? Are they all aligned? Because only when all of us is aligned in that way can we easily access the power of our spirit to move forward in a really clear and easeful way and an empowered way to carry us where it is we want to go, and to release that inner potential that we may not even know we have. This is also what is referred to by the law of attraction teachings when they talk about your thoughts and your feelings and your energetic vibration attracting to you circumstances that are on a similar vibrational frequency. So for me, the thing that is missing in the teaching of the quote, the secret, is that it doesn't go deep enough, and a lot of people have been frustrated because saying affirmations and working on visualizations really doesn't seem to be transforming their experience. And the reason for that is that there is something underlying. The affirmations we make are chosen with our conscious mind or affirmed with our conscious mind. But underneath our conscious mind is the 95% of the iceberg that doesn't show above the water. So the conscious mind is the tip of the iceberg. So I was wondering this question of commitment, are you 100% committed? And I was thinking, well, okay, well, what am I committed to? Would it be true to say that I'm actually committed to something other than what it is I say I want? And I started to think about these underlying beliefs, many of which are really unconscious or in our subconscious, as being beliefs I'm committed to. It was really an interesting way of thinking about it, because the beliefs themselves consist of thoughts, of images, of energetic patterning. And not only that, but these beliefs, which most of them we develop at a very, very, very early age, often before we're talking. It's called pre-verbal, preconceptual. Some of them even kind of imbibed through osmosis when we're in our mother's womb, is how early we, as sensitive organs, are absorbing the energetic environment around us. These form our view of reality. And by golly, I am committed to my view of reality. We can't help but be committed to that. We're loyal to it. We're loyal to our beliefs because they are the lens we see everything through. We don't even know how to challenge them or question them in many cases. And because of that, we are walking around being controlled by things that we don't often even know, we're not even aware of, or if they're brought to awareness, we just say, but that is the truth. That is the way things are. That is the way I am. That's who I am. And in this commitment to what we take to be true and real, there's also another level of commitment, which is, well, where did these beliefs come from? So many of them, especially the early ones, come from our exposure to our family, to our parents, to our loved ones, to those who were our guardians and keeping us safe and guiding us and introducing us to life. And their reality became our reality. And on a very primitive level, that young consciousness that we were and that part of us that still is constellated that in that early structure is committed to being loyal to our family. So these are some powerful, powerful reasons why we may not be 100% committed to what we now currently, in our adult state, say we want and we do want. So how do we deal with this? How do we become 100% committed? How do we bring these parts on board and shift these internal structures so that we can be in alignment and all of us can be working together on the same team, going in the same direction instead of pulling in opposite directions? So first we have to become aware of what these beliefs are. So I'm going to read you just a few beliefs. These are commonly held beliefs about money, and I'll just toss a few of these out to see if any of you resonate with that. And then Catherine is going to lead you in an exercise to explore some of the origins of your own beliefs about money. So a lot of us, we might have heard growing up, money doesn't grow on trees, or money is the root of all evil, or that rich people are greedy, or maybe getting rich isn't for people like us. Maybe we're told money isn't really that important, or rich people aren't happy. And we've come to believe, oh, I'll never have enough money, or I'm not good with money. I don't know how to handle money. Or maybe, it's wrong to have more than others. It's not spiritual to want money. It's, I'll become a monster of greed if I let myself just want money. It's sort of crass, and I'm sensitive and spiritual. Or maybe, I just don't have what it takes. I've never been able to earn money. And maybe somewhere deep down we actually feel I don't deserve to be successful because I'm not good enough, or there's something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with money. So you'll find your own versions of those. So, Catherine, I'm going to turn it over to you now. And this is where you're going to need the writing instruments, so make sure those are handy.
Thank you. And as we were talking earlier, some of the things that we're carrying are passed on. So would invite you as we do this exercise to be a witness to what you heard, and if any emotion comes up, to notice it and disregard it. Just notice it and put it by the side. And again, what I'd like you to do is to come back to your breath again, and to feel your presence sitting or standing wherever you are, laying in bed, and to again begin to focus your attention around your heart and breathing in the gratitude and appreciation and the love and to let that part of you know that it's safe as we're going to just talk about some thoughts or feelings about your mother as you were growing up, and see her and call her to mind, visualize her, and think about or conjure up, what did you hear her saying about money? What was money talked about as you were growing up from your mother? How did she talk about it? What energy, attitude, or feeling concerning money do you associate with her? And notice any of the thoughts that come up, any of the images or the visions. And then form that into a statement or statements and write those down. Just noticing, no attachment, just notice. And then I invite you to think of your father, again setting aside any interpretation or any thoughts, any feelings, again being the witness, and see him, call him to mind. And what did you hear him saying about money? What energy, attitude, or feeling concerning money do you associate with him? And form that into a statement or statements and write those down. And now I'd like you to think about your own attitudes, your energy, your feelings, or your beliefs about money that you are aware of. Compare what you wrote about yourself to what you saw about your parents' beliefs, or what you felt about their beliefs. Are they the same? Are they a reaction against? And say to yourself the beliefs you wrote down that you hold about money, and notice what happens in your body. Is there a tension, a clenching, a loss of energy? How does that make you feel? What feelings or emotions are you aware of associated with these beliefs or attitudes? What do you see about how these beliefs may limit you? How do they limit how you feel about yourself? And especially limit what you are able to reach for and achieve in your life. How are you able or willing to show up in life? Your freedom of action, and also your ease with money. And now I invite you to come back and notice how you felt and come back into your body again. Come back into the present moment. Come back to your breath. Thanking those parts and those beliefs and those thoughts that came up. And as you breathe in, again, focus around your heart. And as you breathe into your heart, release anything that's not yours to carry. Just blow it out with your next exhale. And if you have any water close by, take a nice drink. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm going to unmute the line now.
Conference unmuted.
I'm going to invite anyone who would like to share anything that you saw, noticed, discovered, felt, experienced, to just speak. And say your name first, if you would. were you able to see, I know it went by quickly and we have a lot to cover, but were you able to find some beliefs, did words or thoughts or images come to mind about either of your parents? Did you notice what you yourself tend to think or believe about money and how it might relate?
Yes, I'll share. This is Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Very well. My family situation was rather unique in that I had one parent, my mother, who unfortunately was bipolar, and she's since passed. She passed about 10 years ago. I am the eldest of 4 children, and my parents had a very rocky relationship. As such, money was generally an issue. I was never, nor were any of my siblings, we weren't coached or, trained on how to manage money. It was never really discussed. But I recall having overheard, conversations or, arguments of sorts about struggles. And I would say that the cliche that I would use to sum it all up would be robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Is what?
And
say that again?
Like that was always the case.
Could you say that again?
I said robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Oh, robbing Peter to pay Paul was the condition of your home.
Yeah,
so there was stress and anxiety about not having enough money, even though the children were sort of kept out of the loop. And,
pretty much.
And do you see a carryover to your current beliefs or attitudes about money?
Well, now that, we're discussing the issue, I would have to say that there's a subconscious relation there. Meaning I've never really acknowledged it until now.
Yeah.
I have, unfortunately, I have struggled most of my adult life. I am certainly going to describe myself as a late bloomer, and I haven't yet really begun to bloom. So
it's never too late, Sean.
That's why I so appreciate your writings, and I've been reading many of your emails, and I'm hoping to someday, meet with you.
Thank you.
But I feel like I too am always sort of in catch-up mode.
Yep.
And I have, unfortunately, I think because of my entrepreneurial spirit, I'm guessing that's part of why I tend not to hold a job for very long.
So, Sean, if I might we don't have time for stories now, but I'd really like to underscore the beliefs. And
yes. Okay.
And I think that you've identified it, and I appreciate that you are aware, observing that it wasn't conscious, but that unconsciously you seem to be repeating the same pattern. So thank you so much for being willing to step up and be the first one to share.
You're very welcome.
Is there anyone else there who would like to just say a few words about what you saw? Your family's beliefs, your beliefs.
This is Eleanor.
Eleanor.
And, I could see that my mother's belief that I was selfish and that other children were in need, and my father's belief that made him angry to have to spend money on us. So that sort of came into, I'll try to make myself small and spend as little as possible, but work very hard and achieve very hard, and they'll see that I'm worth it.
Right.
So I think, that's carried on.
Thank you. Eleanor, that's a beautiful example. That's a really very striking example. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to acknowledge that this is tender area for a lot of us, and you don't have to share if you don't want to, and there may be some pain being brought up around some of these issues, and we're going to, I hope we're going to resolve that just before the end of the call. One more. We have time for one more person if you'd like to share.
Okay, this is Lori, and I think I'm coming away with it's for others, not for me.
Money is for others. Wealth is for
money. Yeah, wealth is for others. It's not for me.
Right.
I grew up. You have to work very hard just in life, and you have only some can. You have to be really smart. The rest is really, I don't think it was really discussed, but just the feeling that you have to work really hard, and it's for others, not for me.
Yeah, that's a very common belief. You have to work very hard, and it's really not for me, and maybe I'm not good enough or smart enough, or I don't work hard enough, or it could be the luck of the draw. That's another thing. Lucky breaks. Some people have lucky breaks. And you see that was that given to you by your parents, and do you see it in your own life also?
It was definitely given to me by my parents, especially my mother. And what do you mean? Do I see?
Do you feel that do you perpetuate that belief? Do you?
I think I perpetuate somewhere that it's not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could say that one of the ways we can detect what our beliefs are is by looking at our life. If we struggle around money, if we are always feeling stressed and anxious, if it always eludes our grasp, probably in our belief structure is that it's really hard and it's not for me. I can never attain it. I might work really hard and almost get there, but it slips away, or it's not enough, or it's not the big prize that I think other people get. So you look at your life and you'll see what is reflected. So I want to point out, thank you, all of you, for sharing. It's so precious and valuable to hear this, and it's, corroborating what I'm learning. I want to just point out now that in 2 weeks, Catherine and I are going to be giving a 4-week class in which we're going to be really going into depth precisely about some of these very, very commonly held beliefs, and you will gain clarity about which beliefs may be operating in you, sabotaging you. There will be a lot of experiential healing, and most of all, I'm going to share with you a very wonderful technique for completely transforming limiting beliefs about anything. And we're going to work on them together in the classes. And I'm also going to be gifting you with an MP3 recordings of the technique that you can work with on your own. And you could just take that recording and go through every belief that you can think of and start transforming all of your limiting beliefs. And that, is that's something that I've been making a study of tools for transforming beliefs, and this is the one that I have found that is the easiest to use, the most fun to use, that anyone can do. And I just wanted to let everyone know that this 4-week class we are offering for an extremely low price, someone would say an insanely low price, of only $87 for all 4 weeks. And on top of that, if you register, you will get a free half-hour session with Catherine and a free half-hour session with me. So I just want to let you all know about that opportunity that's coming up soon. This is going to be quite healing, and we're going to do serious, serious transformation of beliefs around money. If you want to go to the page for that, it's www.yourtimetobloom.com. That's my website, yourtimetobloom.com/events/money-wounds-class. And that information is in the emails I've been sending you and will send you. So before we finish, does anyone have any other comments they want to make before we're going to close with another process? And I'm wondering, Catherine, do you have something you'd like to say at this point?
Well, part of what we did with the process is that it may have very well have uncovered some feelings that may have come up, and again to thank those parts for coming up and be very gentle. Part of this work, the beauty of it is bringing the unconscious part forward so that you can see what it is you're working with. And so the little part that may have come forward, to thank that. When we're wrapping up this call, we'll give you a couple things to do later in the evening to take good care of yourself.
Yeah, so if there's feelings that are stirred up, be aware that those are parts that are upset, that are maybe feeling vulnerable or scared, or and if you could just, turn towards them. If you could, if you're feeling upset or scared, a formula that works really well for me that I use is to say, a part of me feels this way, a part of me feels upset, and then I really see it as a young part that I can relate to with compassion and tenderness and love, and maybe gather it up in my arms and maybe tuck it in my heart and speak to it or listen to it. And I'm just going to close. We're almost towards the end of the call. I'm going to lead you in a kind of little ceremony, little imaginal ceremony. And it's coming back to the theme of commitment. So we're talking about this question of, are we 100% committed to what we say we want, what we consciously want, what the adult self wants, or do we have divided loyalty because there's part of us that's committed to our family beliefs or what we developed in childhood, our view of reality? We're not even aware of it. And you know something? Right now we don't even have to know. We don't even have to know what those beliefs are. But what I'm going to invite you to do is to close your eyes and just take another deep breath, soft breath, releasing. Let yourself sink back into your heart space and feel the support and the loving energy there. And we were bringing up some what could be difficult relationships or memories around your mother and your father, and you know that we know we have all received we've received gifts and blessings, and we've received difficulties and limiting beliefs about ourselves and the world. We're going to return them now. So I want you to imagine that once again, if you could just bring to mind the image of your mother. If you don't want her right there in your space, perhaps just see a photograph of her. Imagine on your mantelpiece or table there's a photograph of your mother in a frame. And I want you to just, as it were, like reach into your heart and pull out like a sheaf of papers that has written on them, and you don't even have to know what they are, all the beliefs that you received from your mother that are actually not helpful beliefs, the ones that are limiting you. You don't want to, there are ones that are wonderful and helpful, and those you want to keep. But the ones that are not helping you, you want to return them, and you can return them right now. And what I would do is take this sheaf of paper with these beliefs, which you don't even have to know what they are right now, and either hand them to your mother or lay them on the table in front of the photograph of her and tell her that thank you for giving me your best guidance in the form of these beliefs. I know you were trying to help me. I know you were trying to keep me safe. I know you were doing the best that you could, and you wanted the best for me. But I don't need these anymore. I'm going to return them to you now. And place that sheaf of papers either in your mother's hand or on the table in front of her photograph, and just know that they are there and they are being returned to their origin, to their source. And now imagine that your father is there. And for some of you, it might be a grandfather or an aunt or uncle or somebody else. So you can amend this so that it suits whatever the important people in your life were who brought you up. But I'm going to say now, your father or male figure. Picture him, or if you prefer, just imagine a photograph of him on the table, in a frame, very contained. And then again, reach into your heart, as it were, and pull out a sheaf of papers that have written on them all the beliefs that you inherited from your father. And some of these beliefs didn't even come from him. They came from his father and his mother, and the same with all of the beliefs we got from our family. They come from way back. So these beliefs that came from your father, that represented his teaching, his guidance of you to be able to make your way in the world, take that sheaf of paper, hand it to him or lay it on the table in front of him and say, thank you for giving me these beliefs. I know you were trying to help me, guide me, teach me, and keep me safe. I know you were doing the very best that you knew how to do, and that you wanted the best for me. But I don't need these anymore, and I'm returning them to you. So now I'd like to invite you to picture your own younger self. This is the part of you, it could be many ages, but we're just going to, whatever age comes to mind is the right one. This is the part of you that formed some of these limiting beliefs, because some were handed to you and were inherited and absorbed, but some were conclusions you came to from your own experiences in life. And in any case, you as this young, very vulnerable, impressionable person, you imprinted these beliefs. Your soul allowed these beliefs to be imprinted on you. So I want you could picture your younger self as a child standing in front of you, or if you prefer, you could imagine a photograph of yourself at a young age. And again, I invite you to reach into your heart and pull out a sheaf of paper on which are written all the beliefs that you started to learn and believe and memorize and make your own, the lenses you saw reality through, the conclusions you came to about life and yourself and other people. All of the beliefs that do not help you, the ones that are holding you back or hurting you in any way, take these beliefs and hand them back to your younger self. Place them in front of the photo and say to your beloved younger self, thank you so much for trying so hard to make sense of life, trying so hard to adapt and to become safe. I so appreciate how hard you worked for me and what a wonderful job you did, because here I am. I made it. I'm alive and I'm okay. So I know you were doing the absolute best you could, and brilliantly too. But you know what? I've grown up now, and I don't need these beliefs anymore. I'm going to return them to you because you are the source, and you are going to turn them back into the pure energy that they are. And now, if it feels right to you, just say to yourself, I commit myself to realizing, to living, and to being my full potential. My financial potential and my success potential. And my potential as a human being. I commit to being the person I came here to be. And to giving the gifts I'm here to give. And to be part of that sacred energy exchange that is the essence of life. And I commit to freeing myself from whatever is holding me back from being all that I can be. And so it is. So now, just take another deep breath and just feel what's happening in your heart and just send love there. I know I often literally take my hand and stroke my heart area in the center of my chest. I find it very soothing. I find that those feelings and young parts that might be stirred up feel very comforted by that. And then just with another deep breath, if you would just come back, open your eyes. I'm going to unmute the line again. And I welcome anyone who would like to share a few words. We don't have too much time. We might go a little bit over the hour. Would anyone like to share anything about what that was like for you? Or where you are right now, where that took you?
Well, this is Kit.
Yes.
And it was very intense and powerful, and it was most feeling when I was to my younger self when I was returning the papers to her.
So that was the most powerful part, was returning them to your younger self.
The feeling of compassion.
Yeah.
For all that she was trying to do for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to share anything? You don't have to.
This is Eleanor.
Yes.
Also, it was just really helpful to hear you say, I don't need this anymore, and thank you for, helping me, and I'm safe now, and all those things. Appreciate the part, and then give it back, and I had it lit by a bonfire.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Went up to the universe.
That's perfect. That's great. Yeah, that's a wonderful thing you added. Thank you so much. So we don't have much. Is there anybody else? We have time for one more, and then we're going to close this call with some guidance for what to do. So, Catherine is going to give you, some guidance for what you could do in the coming week, following this work that we've done together. I hope you'll be back next week. We're going to do something different, and of course, for those of you who would like to join us in the 4-week class, we're going to really shift these beliefs. And then, Catherine, I invite you to do the conclusion.
And Paul, our gratitude for those who did share and for folks who showed up on this call. Thank you so much for stepping forward. So part of your homework, we have an exercise we'd like to invite you, and we use that word a lot. I notice that when we do an invitation, there's a part of us that says, I'm curious. So to invite you to do during the next week, and all you have to do is notice. Talked earlier about being a witness and just noticing. No solutions are necessary. Invite you to share what you noticed and we're inviting you to share what you noticed during our call next week. And we'll be going much more in depth in the 4-week class about what you notice. To recognize also that it's taken you a lifetime to get to where you are, and it will take a while to unveil or uncover your beliefs, and also, of course, to shift them. However, it doesn't have to take as long as you may think. So with that in mind, here's the exercise. Notice as you go through your week when these beliefs or reactions, fears or anxieties come up, and notice what triggers them. Pay attention as you go through the day to the different people you meet, different situations, things you hear on the news or read or from friends. What comes up about money, about scarcity, about security, about not having enough, etc.? And also notice what happens in your body around these reflective thoughts and feelings. Notice what goes on in your body. Does your tummy get upset? Does your heart beat a little faster? You might even jot these things down in a little notebook that you can carry around with you, which will help you anchor the awareness, become very aware of the awareness. And if you notice a belief and know where it comes from, you can then and there decide to give it back. From that exercise that Tomar just led you through, to put it back, give it back to where it belongs, and affirm your commitment to being all that you can be in this life. And as we get ready to close up this call, if you have an opportunity to take maybe a hot bath tonight with some sea salt and a nice candle and some music, that may be nicer to get out into nature and breathe her in.
Yeah. Thank you, Catherine. And definitely, just to add to what Catherine said, just to, sensitize yourself, be on the lookout for reactions that might be pointing in the direction of a belief, like, oh yeah, that is what I always say, that is what I always think, that is how I always clench or grit my teeth or, feel angry when I hear about somebody else who's rich or somebody who lost their house, and those are the things I say, and then like, is that one of my subconscious beliefs? Does that have anything to do with what I heard growing up or what I concluded growing up because of how I was treated or the experiences I had? And then to be really, really, really gentle with yourself, particularly in relation to that younger self who was trying so valiantly and so courageously against such odds to survive and to thrive and to really adapt to the environment so that everything would be, optimal as best as your little self could manage to make it. So with great tenderness and great appreciation and compassion for that little one, that younger self. And, I'm thinking with everything we've done today, this might be a good time for you to do some journaling, if stuff came up for you, you might want to continue the exploration. And if you do join us for the next few weeks, there will be ample opportunity to go deeper. And as I said, not just to discover more, but to actually, literally and permanently shift many of these beliefs. And you will have the tools for continuing that on your own in a very easy and pleasurable way that is extremely effective. So I'm going to unmute us once again just to say goodbye. And if anyone wants to say anything before we close, we're a little over the hour. I want to thank you all deeply for joining us, and also the people who may be listening to the recording. Thank you so much. I'd love to have you continue on this journey with us. So if anyone has anything they want to say in parting, now's the time.
I just want to know about the replay because I want to invite some other people on.
Everyone will get the replay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you. It was great.
So, so take care of yourselves this week, and join us next week. We'll do something different. Don't even know what it'll be yet, but I look forward to seeing you again and continuing this journey that we're all on. I think we're all on a very courageous journey right now, and we're contributing something to the culture at large in the work we do on freeing ourselves. It's not just for ourselves, and it's not just about money. So my blessings to all of you.
Thank you, and have a great week.
Thanks to everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Good night. All righty. So I'm Tomar Levine.
And I'm Catherine Van Wetter.
We'd like to welcome you to our second free call on healing our money wounds. And we're going to start by having Catherine lead us in a brief meditation to help us all become fully present here together. And I thank you so much for joining us for this call.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. And for many of you, it's 5 o'clock, and for some of you, it's 8 o'clock. So wherever you are in the time zone, invite you to take a moment as we become aware of our breath, and we take a nice breath in and exhale out. And as you inhale in, I invite you to focus your attention around the area of your heart as you breathe in gratitude, appreciation, and love for yourself and for all those in your life who bring you joy and happiness, and even those who may not bring you joy and happiness, to breathe in all those who you are connected with. And thanking yourself for taking this time to listen to this teleseries tonight, this call tonight. Thanking yourself for taking the time after a busy day and allowing the day to melt away and allowing yourself to be fully present for this next hour. This next hour is yours. This next hour is your precious time. So with that in mind, I invite you once again to take a nice breath in and exhale out, focusing your attention on your breath, becoming aware of all your parts present, if you're sitting, if you're driving, if you're standing, and relaxing into this next hour. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. It helped me relax. So some of you were on the call last week and some weren't. Some of you may have heard the recording or not. So I'm going to just start with a brief review of last week's call and also invite any of you who'd like to share feedback about it at the end of that section. So after that, I'm going to discuss some new material, and then Catherine's going to lead us all in a very healing experience. And we'll tell you how you can go much deeper in healing your money wounds and transforming your limiting beliefs. about money, about success, and about fulfilling your potential. So last week we talked about commitment, how instead of being 100% committed to our goals, to what we say we deeply want and what we really do want, we're actually often more committed to beliefs that we have imprinted in our subconscious mind that are often completely contrary to what we want. Part of the reason that we are so committed to these beliefs that are moving us away from what we want is that our very earliest beliefs we get from our parents. So not only are these beliefs deeply imprinted in our subconscious where they operate unconsciously, where we cannot reach them, we're not even aware that they are functioning in this way, but there's a part of us that formed these beliefs when we were a child, and that part of us is still alive in our psyche and is still feeling very loyal to our parents. So we did an exercise last week to bring to consciousness some of the beliefs and attitudes about money that we associate with our parents, and we compared them to our current beliefs and attitudes about money and asked ourselves if the beliefs we hold today are the same that we learned from our parents or are different. Perhaps we are reacting against those influences. And we acknowledged our family, and we acknowledged our younger selves, and the fact that they were all doing the very best that they could. So later in the call, after first bringing up to consciousness these beliefs, we did a ceremony in which we returned our limiting beliefs to our mother, our father, and our younger self. And we thanked each of them for having our very best interests at heart, for wanting only to keep us safe. And we particularly thanked our younger self for being so heroic and for doing such a good job in helping us survive, because here we are.
Thank you, Tomar. And at the end of the call, we gave you a little assignment to notice during the week if any limiting beliefs or attitudes about money came up, and if so, if you could see what triggered them and perhaps where they came from, or even to give them back to their source the way we did in the ceremony. And as we spoke earlier, much of what we carry is unconscious, and much of what we carried was given to our family, and often many generations before, we may not even be aware of how far back these beliefs go. So with that in mind, wondering if any of you were able to notice any beliefs or attitudes about money during the week that you may have had, or even right now looking back, if anything occurs to you. And we'd love to hear from you right now if anyone has anything that they would like to say.
So I'm going to unmute the line, and anyone can respond.
Conference unmuted.
So this is Shanti, and
Yes.
when I left software and I moved into to teach yoga, Indian dancing, meditation, and similar such things. And right when I resigned, I had made a limiting belief to myself at that point. I said, I know I'm never going to make as much as I made in software. That was limiting number one. I had already decided I was not going to make much. So long as I'm able to make enough to just pay the bills, I would be happy to continue in this new line. Then why would I even try to really, like in the subconscious, try to get more?
Yeah. Are you able to connect that belief that you wouldn't make more than just enough to pay the bills with something you learned from your family?
I think it is something from from our livelihood. Like I belong to a teaching class. And, so the teaching class is something in which they never sell knowledge for money, and they just shared, the gurus just shared the knowledge and whatever came to them, they took it.
Yes.
And they led very simple life, and they were like role models. And so I think I kind of identified myself that, I have to be like that, like, simple, humble, and never aspiring for something higher. So I think it came more into kind of from the culture, the community.
Thank you, Shanti. And that's what you're describing is common for many people who have high ideals in what we want to do with our lives, that we think we need to not make money, but just give our service and live a simple, modest life. So was there anybody else who noticed anything during the week? Anything come up for you?
Hi, this is Melanie.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi. A couple of things, and one of them I couldn't define. I'm not sure how to define it. Mm-hmm. My parents ended up quite wealthy. They weren't that way when I was very young. And I heard a lot of money doesn't grow on trees. What do you think I'm made out of money? Champagne tastes on a beer budget. All of that. But one thing I did notice is that even though my parents turned out wealthy, every chance my father had to become extremely wealthy with various investments and such, something would always happen and undo it. Something bad, something went wrong. He may not lose money, but he didn't make money. Sometimes he lost money. And that is a pattern that has somehow translated into my life, along with that same one we were just talking about of just enough to survive. Can't seem to get to thriving, just getting to surviving. And so I'm not sure how to define it, but that's what I was reflecting on.
And that's really very helpful because you're actually pointing out that sometimes where we see these parallels happening, it could be in our behavior and it could be in the results that we're seeing in our life. It might not even be consciously a belief or a thought. So
what often happens is that there can be money in the family, and the hidden message from maybe one or two generations up above is that you can only make so much money, and if you go past that ceiling belief, somehow it ends up that people lose money even though they seem to be sound investors. So it's the power often of these hidden beliefs, and as we were speaking earlier of the loyalty that we have to our family, we have the loyalty to beliefs with how rich we're going to be or in how much money we're going to be making through a lifetime, and this is something that we'll be carrying, that we'll be talking more about as the 4-week series.
Yeah, right. Thank you. So thank you for sharing, those who did, and there'll be more opportunities ahead. So right now we're going to shift our focus slightly, and I wanted to talk about the concept of wounds and wounds versus beliefs. You know, we titled this series Healing Our Money Wounds, and so far we've been talking a great deal about beliefs. So I was sort of thinking, well, what is the relationship between those two? Because they're not exactly the same. And my sense of a wound, and we're talking about a psychological or emotional wound, is some place in us, in our psyche or in our emotional body, where we've been hurt and we haven't yet healed. So it's an unhealed place that we're still holding on to. And as some of you, I think, know, I find it very helpful to think in terms of inner parts because our psyche has these many different facets. There are many aspects of our personality that feel distinctly different when we inhabit them. As an example, I think everyone is familiar with the concept of the inner critic. It's a universal part that I believe certainly everyone in Western society has. And that's what's operating when we criticize and judge ourselves and have that inner self-talk that beats us up. And then there's the term inner child that's become very accepted in our culture. And the inner child could be a playful, creative inner child, but often the wounded, hurt parts of us are also hurt child parts. And that's because when we were children, we were very sensitive and vulnerable and easily hurt by someone's actions or words. And those imprints remain in us. And they haven't been healed until they are. So they stay underneath the surface. They stay buried. And they remain as a kind of split off part of our psyche, like a child part that's never grown up. And you can actually bring that part forth and talk to it and dialogue with it, and you'll find out that it thinks it's 4 years old and it doesn't know that you're an adult. So when someone says something hurtful to us today or something happens and we feel triggered, it's that inner hurt child that's been triggered and that's reacting, even though we don't often, unless we're really working in this mode, we don't, go into this much detail. We just think, I have this feeling one day and I feel a different way another day. So inner parts is a very useful way to work. And when we were hurt as children, we formed beliefs about ourselves, about other people in the world, because we were trying to make sense of our experience. And we were very impressionable, and we didn't have a lot of worldly knowledge. So we came to conclusions to explain what was happening, like, I'm not good enough, or there's something wrong with me, or I never get what I want, or I'm not lovable. And most people, certainly everybody I've ever talked to about this, has beliefs like these buried in our subconscious, and we often don't want to know about them, and we suppress them. So there's a connection between the inner part, in this case a wounded child part, and the wound, and the limiting belief that is created as a result, as a reaction against, or as an adaptation to make sense of life. So the part holds a belief, and we can approach healings. We're talking about money wounds and limiting beliefs about money and about success and fulfillment. We can approach them in many ways. We can work directly with a part, and we'll be doing that. And we can work directly by transforming the belief itself. And we'll be doing a lot of that in the class. Or we can change the memory of the experience. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight or today. We're going to be doing a healing of a money wound, working with a memory. So in a minute, Catherine is going to guide you in a deep healing process. So I want you to just start bringing to mind any memory of a time when you felt wounded about money. It doesn't have to be when you were a child. It could be, but it could be also as an adult. And it doesn't have to be a very big, terrible hurt. It could be an embarrassment or a time when you felt you failed in some way, or you fell short, you didn't have enough money for something. So I just wanted to get you started opening your memory bank, and I'll let Catherine lead us now in the process.
Thank you. And for anyone who's driving, please keep your eyes open and your hands on the wheel, and maybe listen to this at a later time when you can give your full attention to this. And you can also get a lot out of it also if your eyes aren't closed. And taking a nice deep breath in, and once again exhaling out, and focusing your attention around the area of your heart, and breathing in your gratitude and your appreciation and your love as we take this little journey into a part of yourself that may be covered up. And I invite you to remember a time when you felt confused, unhappy, or inadequate about money. You may have felt disempowered, infantilized, or shamed about money. You may have made a bad money decision or not known enough to take care of your needs. It could be something that happened with one of your parents when you were growing up, or even when you were an adult. Or it could be something that happened with a domestic partner or something in business. Or it could just be an experience you had alone. It could be very recent or a current situation that you are going through. It could even just be the feelings you have and the words you tell yourself. In some ways, you may be accusing yourself of being inadequate with money. So call to mind the memory, the incidents, the people, and the situation, and be there now in your imagination. Let yourself fully feel them as though it's happening right now. Notice how your body feels. Is your breath constricted? Do you have anxiety in your belly? Do you feel collapsed and weak? And how do you feel about yourself? Let yourself feel that fully. Let the words come to you that you would be saying to yourself about yourself, your self-talk. These are words you would be hearing from your inner critic, or the words you would be saying about yourself from that deficient child place. Really feel how that makes you feel. And now, take a nice deep breath, and with your exhale, let go of that memory. Step away from the memory and shake off those feelings like drops of water. Shake them off till they're all gone, all the little drops of water until there's nothing left. And with the breath in, come back to the present and let yourself step into the neutral zone where there are no strong feelings and you feel okay about yourself. Find an open place in yourself where you feel neutral and okay. So taking a breath in and exhaling out. And as you do that, notice if there's any parts that still may be hung up or stuck with that exercise that we just did, that breath, that remembrance, releasing that. And as you do, let yourself remember a situation where you felt very resourceful, very powerful, your very best. It could be about money or something else. Let your subconscious bring up a situation when you felt empowered, when you felt alive, competent, and skillful. Let that memory come. Let the image form. Where were you? What were you wearing? What were you hearing and seeing? What were you doing? How were you at the top of your form, the top of your capacity? If you can't find a memory, make one up. What would you be and what would you be doing as your optimal self? Now notice how that feels in your body. Intensify the feeling of being in that peak state. Feel the energy that flows through your body when you're fully empowered. Feel how your heart is open and feel the presence of your heart and the presence of your breath and the presence of what your body stands like and feels like. What words would you use to describe this state? Who are you being when you feel like this? Form a statement and say it to yourself, starting with, I am. For example, I am powerful and strong. Or, I am a source of wisdom and help for others. Or, I am unshakable. Find the words that match your enhanced state of being and form an I am statement that describes it. Now, keeping the feelings of who you are in your highly resourceful state, keeping it turned all the way up, return to the original scenario where you didn't feel really good. This time, step into the memory and relive it in your current fully alive and empowered presence. Feel the feelings in your body strongly. You might even state to yourself or to the other people in your scenario the I am statement that you came up with as you relive that memory. Let yourself experience this now. Let the scenario unfold and feel the difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. So just take a few more moments to be with that. Going to ask you again if anyone would like to share an experience. I'm going to unmute the line.
Conference unmuted.
Now that was great, Catherine.
Thank you.
So is there anybody who feels inspired to share any part of your experience?
This is Melanie, and I actually have a question in the process I can share. That was a really cool exercise.
Thank you.
The thing is that experience that I went to the first time is actually still ongoing, and so I'm curious about how. I'm still not sure. Like, I felt so much better and so much more empowered as myself from that other wonderful space. Yet I still didn't get clarity on what I could or would do to change or fix the situation. Is that necessary, or is it just enough to feel it?
I think it's enough first of all, it's enough to feel it, and we're going to do a little process at the very end that will help anchor that state for you so you can actually draw upon it when you need it in your real life situation. And the other thing I would suggest is you might go into meditation bringing that centered and empowered consciousness and energy and presence with you and just contemplate your situation. Be very open and receptive and just allow whatever might come to you in the way of guidance or inspiration or knowing. Because that often happens, it might just be something very small. It might be not something that you can do to change the situation, but just how you can feel about it. That doesn't feel so bad. But
this process is very profound and it's very subtle. And so one way to really enhance it, not only by doing the exercise at the end of this class, also just notice when you step into situations where you may not feel as resourceful and bring that memory back and imagine yourself in that state of heightened awareness and heightened performance. And it'll be amazing how your body memory will remember that.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
And the exercise we're going to do at the end is going to help you with that. So thank you for that really important question, Melanie.
Thank you so much for helping me with that.
Yeah. Is there anyone else who would like to share something before we go on? How was that empowered state? I'd love to hear how it was for people.
Okay, this is Deirdre. I feel shy. I'm holding back a little bit.
Hi, Deirdre.
Hi.
Great to have you here.
Hi. Nice to be doing this with you. I feel I accessed a very something about my fineness and ability to discern and the sort of a dignified or elegant quality.
Mm.
And, that was really great, very helpful for me to access. It's not like entirely a big surprise, but I think of it, I don't identify with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more real about, and so it was very helpful. And as you were just pointing out, to just feel the feeling in thinking about the other scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anything that went further than that, but that it feels true and real. I think the thing that doesn't feel like an affirmation or some image or symbol, it feels real.
Right.
It's very helpful.
That's great. That's great. And of course, that's the truth. It is real because what you are accessing is a very true and essential core part of you. And perhaps you haven't been identifying with it up until now as much as you could be. So,
and when we bring in all the senses, it's amazing. It goes beyond the words, and we go into our senses.
That's right. That's right. And we sometimes recognize it's like, oh, of course. I always knew this. Why did I forget it? Does anyone have that? How could I have forgotten this kind of feeling?
Yeah.
Thank you, Deirdre.
Thank you.
So maybe let's just continue, Catherine.
Okay,
Thank you so much. And I guess I'm going to mute again just to keep the line as pure as we can. So thank you, everybody. And also I want you to just feel this is going to continue to resonate in your body and in your energy field. So you can continue to hang out with this enhanced presence of yourself while we go into the second part and ending of the call.
Conference muted.
And have a sip of water if you have a glass, if you
Yeah.
have water available. So during these last couple of calls, everyone who's participated has had the opportunity to have a taste of what it feels like to uncover and recognize some of the hidden beliefs, memories, feelings, and attitudes around money, and how empowering it is to be able to release the emotional charge of what may be holding you back. Once we are able to see what it is that we are dealing with, then it's possible to heal and transform what is standing in our way of living our lives to the fullest. And so by discarding self-limiting beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors, it allows us to create a life of infinite possibilities in a most empowering way, thus moving us forward in a very proactive and positive manner. Then you can truly be able to step into your magnificent life. And there's a wonderful quote that is, if not now, when? If not you, who? And what a wonderful opportunity as we're moving evolutionarily in the way our economy is and the way our world is globally. What a wonderful time to recreate who we are and to let go of things that no longer serve us.
Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, and I want to reiterate something that I said the last call, which is that although we're focusing on money, this isn't only about money. In a certain way, for me, it isn't primarily about money. Money is like a fulcrum. It's a focus. It's an organizing principle of our culture and therefore of our own individual consciousness so much. And some people are preoccupied with money and obsess about money, and their whole life revolves around questions of money or desire for money or fears around money. So it's something that is central to the waking consciousness of most of us, and it's also the area in which most of us are really wounded, and it's because our whole culture is wounded around money. So how could we not be? And part of what we're going to be exploring in the next 4 weeks is the relationship of our own beliefs and our own feelings and attitudes to what we've learned from the culture, and how we can transcend that, how we can actually step beyond some of the limitations that are imposed on us by the media, by the constant barragement, by what we hear over the airwaves and, the news media. How we can transcend these fears and transcend these projections that are placed on us, that who we are is defined by how much money we have or don't have, or how much success we achieve or don't achieve. How we can move beyond that to find the actual core of our being, our actual soul essence, and make that the guiding light and the organizing principle of our life. So in addressing issues and wounds and limiting beliefs about money, what I really long for all of us, myself included, is to just rip away the barriers and the fences that keep us imprisoned, not only in earning less money than we're capable of and that we deserve, but keep us imprisoned in such a smaller definition of who we are. Healing anything, any aspect of our psyche, liberates huge amounts of energy and soul essence that can then flow out and operate freely in the world, because each of us is born with a purpose, each of us is here for a reason, and this time that we're living in needs us, is calling to all of us to step forward and give our gifts. So, if not now, when? And if not you, who? The world needs all of us and all of you. So in these 2 weeks that we've been together on these calls, we've only been able to scratch the surface of what Catherine and I want to give you in the way of exploring and healing some of your wounds and limiting beliefs about money, about yourself. There's a great deal more that we want to share with you. Catherine and I have, each of us, been studying and learning and practicing and teaching tools for transformation and self-development for over 20 years. So between us, we've accumulated quite a bit of knowledge and resources and wisdom, and we feel very ripe and longing to share this with those of you who would like to come along for this journey of transformation that we're on. And we've seen just by the response to these calls how much desire and need there is now for this kind of spiritual healing of our wounds around money. I feel very touched to see how much response there is, and I feel very called, actually, to be able to serve that need and to help all of us get to the next step of our freedom and our awakening. So that's what Catherine and I have put together, the 4-week class that we have, and if you join us for that, you'll have a chance to go much deeper into your healing and into this transformation process. So some of the things that we're going to be covering in the class are you'll gain clarity about which beliefs are secretly sabotaging you. There's going to be more exploration and elucidation of the content of your beliefs. And you'll be guided in many different healing experiences similar to the ones we've done in these 2 weeks and many others. You're going to have a chance to actually permanently transform many of your limiting beliefs about money. Now, we're not going to be able to get to all of them. We're going to start with some universal limiting beliefs, but the healing we're going to do is going to permanently eliminate those beliefs from all of our subconscious minds, because I'm going to be teaching you a very powerful belief change process. And not only that, but you'll be receiving that in an MP3, as well as a number of other healing processes that we'll send you in MP3s. And so owning those, having them in your own library, audio library, you can work on your beliefs for as long as you like. You can use the same methods I'm going to teach you to shift any belief that you want to change, money beliefs or other kinds. So that's a very rich package that we're offering, and but in addition to that, we also are offering a special bonus, which is everyone who joins the class will get a free 30-minute session with each of us, one with Catherine and one with me. And we're offering all of this for a kind of ridiculously low fee, because we would normally be charging probably $177 for the class, but this time, and this time only, we're giving this whole package to you for only $87. And the private sessions alone are worth more than that. And we're offering this low fee because we'd like to have you as partners with us. We'd like to invite you to go on the journey with us, give us feedback about the class, what you want, what you need, what would make it better, what would you like different. And if you love the experience, if you get benefit from it, then we'd love to ask you for a testimonial that we can use. And for that partnership, we're giving you this amazingly reduced fee. So, and I can assure you the class will never be offered at that rate again. So the class is going to start next week, November 17th, at the same time that these calls have been. That's Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to skip the following week because it's Thanksgiving, and then we're going to do the 3 consecutive weeks ending December 15th. So, if you're interested, I hope many of you are, then you don't have too much time left to enroll. And the sales page to sign up for that is www.yourtimetoBloom.com/events/money-wounds-class. And you've been sent that on the emails, and you'll get it again. So I look forward very much to being with many of you in that experience. We're so excited. I can't tell you how excited we are. Catherine, why don't you tell them how excited we are?
Oh, it's wonderful because I know part of the work I do as a facilitator is creating community. And it's been wonderful, as you mentioned earlier, the amount of response that's happening. And for all of us to know that as we come together during this process, we're not alone. You know, each of us may be experiencing different issues around finance, around anything happening in their life that may be very profound. And how wonderful it is to come together and actually use self-empowering tools to be able to move forward and to have folks listen and hear and be witness to your process. And by you doing your work, not only does it affect you, it affects everyone that comes in contact with you, and it affects your family and your children because we're not just talking, we're going into the elements of the unconscious, we're going into the elements of the quantum field, or what we call the field, the mystery. And so as we raise our own vibration, as we empower ourselves, that allows us to move forward in a very conscious, proactive way that is solution-based, and it's fun. You can start having more fun and wake up in the morning with more joy and excitement, with being able to motivate your life rather than being motivated by your life, to be the driver of your own bus, so to speak.
Well said. Thank you. Yeah, and I do want to emphasize that we are working with these very deep levels of the subconscious mind, and that's why what we do actually creates change, because those beliefs are held, as I said in the first call, in areas that the conscious mind cannot reach, which is the reason why so many approaches that we attempt to use, including a lot of law of attraction methods, don't really do the thorough transformation we're looking for, because we're using our conscious mind and we don't know how to get at those deeper regions. So something you may be aware that Catherine and I love learning techniques and tools and methods and sharing them. I've been a kind of collector of tools, and I have a great joy in sharing the tools that I learn. And I've been studying for years different methods of transforming beliefs because I've seen that that's really the key to unlocking what's keeping us imprisoned. And the tool that I've used, the method that I'm using now, that I've learned the most recently, that I'm the most excited about, is called the belief closet process. And I'm not going to describe it, but I just will tell you that it is so much fun, and it's so easy to use, and it's so playful. It's almost like playing make-believe. It brings that inner child delight, and it's something that is so easy. One of my criteria is I don't want to teach a method unless a person can take it away and use it themselves. I don't want to teach methods that make people dependent on me to do it. And this is one of those, and it is so much fun, and it is so powerful and effective. So, that being said, I'd now like to lead you in this closing meditation that I promised. So, let's all take a deep breath, because there's a lot of energy that's been stirred up. So again, so long as you're not driving, I invite you to close your eyes. Just take another breath and just let everything kind of subside for now. Gently kind of relax all the thoughts, questions that have been stirred up, maybe some energy and excitement, or other feelings that may have been brought up today, earlier. They're all there. It's okay. Just make a lot of space and let them kind of take a back seat as you take a few deep, full breaths and let all tensions go on the out-breath. Good. Just letting all tensions go, sinking into a more quiet place for now. And now I'd like to invite you to call to mind once more that sense of yourself in your empowered state, the one you connected to earlier. Let that come to you, the sensation of being that person in your fullness, in your greatness. Recall how easily and effortlessly that self is able to handle any situation, and just staying anchored in your powerful presence no matter what is happening. Let yourself feel again the energy flowing through your body, the sense of power and ease that comes from operating at your peak potential. Breathing into your heart and feeling your heart open and feeling the expansion of your energy field. And now just intensify those feelings. Turn those feelings up even more till they fill you completely, flowing through your body with every breath. You are the empowered one. And recall the phrase you formed to describe this empowered state of being, if you had one. Say it to yourself now. I am. Whatever that is, that state, or form a statement of affirmation now, just to describe the feeling of empowerment when you are at your utmost, highest peak performance, most attuned, most centered, most expanded, and most empowered. And now I'd like you to bring your thumb and forefinger together, either hand, it doesn't matter. Bring the thumb and forefinger of one hand together and say that statement to yourself now. I am, whatever it is. As you feel the feelings of power and ease flowing strongly through your body, let that be here, let that intensify and expand even more. Feel how it supports you from within and surrounds you and protects you. This is your ideal self. You have access to this self whenever you want. By doing this simple practice, bringing your thumb and forefinger together and saying the statement of who you are, of what that presence means to you, and by recalling the feelings and sensations in your body of this power and ease, you will be able to invoke your ideal self anytime you need to or want to. And the more often you practice this, the stronger and easier it will become. Don't wait till you're in a situation where you need to call upon your ideal self, but do it when you don't need to, when you want to, walking down the street, or after you finish breakfast, or in the evening. Just go into that state. Speak that sentence, I am, and call to your awareness, your optimal, your ideal, your true self. So now, just taking another deep breath, releasing everything, and knowing that this is yours forever to use, to return to call upon. Open your eyes and come back to this moment that we're sharing together on the call. So thank you, everybody. And I'm going to unmute the line again.
Conference unmuted.
Thank you, Tomar. That was a beautiful, beautiful meditation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy.
And we're so very grateful to have had the opportunity to be sharing some of these tools for healing our money wounds with you on these two calls, for taking the time out of your busy life to come forward and listen. I know that there's many different calls that you could be listening to, and to choose listening to ours is an honor. So thank you for that, and we hope to see some of you in the next class next week. And if any of you have enjoyed these calls and would like to maybe take a few minutes to write a few words about how you've benefited them, that we could use, that would be wonderful.
And actually, if you could just say whatever you feel right now also, and if anyone would like to say anything in general, because we're going to be parting in a few minutes, and I do cherish this time we've had together. I feel it has been very profound and intense, and I hope it has been for most of you. So I just want to thank you all so much. I second what Catherine said. I feel very honored that you chose to spend this time with us, and I'm so happy that we're making new friends this way and opening up a space for a community of healing and moving together. I really just want everyone to feel how much you are needed by the world and by the reality and the journey of consciousness, the evolutionary path that we're all on as a species right now. This is an incredibly important time in the world's history, in humanity's history. So it behooves us all to become as free as we can so we can actually make our contribution. I feel this very deeply.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, if anyone has any parting words.
I would just like to thank you both, Tomar and Catherine. I'm very grateful to you. I think it's very generous of you, and it was very, very helpful. And I feel like the objective reality you're describing and discussing and sharing about the world where we are. And, I think when we grow up in our families with these wounds, it feels like nobody misses us when we're gone.
Mm.
And it becomes very deeply held, at least for me, so it's sort of a giving up on something so essential that you help me anyway contact, and that it's objectively true that the world, the reality misses us when we're gone and is calling us and wants us. And there's something very loving, too, in that.
That's just beautiful. Thank you. And would you just say your name so that that's part of the call?
I'm Deirdre.
Thank you, Deirdre.
Thank you.
That was very beautiful.
No, that was.
Would anyone else like to say anything?
Oh, sure. This is Kit.
Yeah.
I just feel very supported. Like having the calls, just the weekly support, reinforcement, and of course the whole process of working with the wounds. But what really came up strongly for me was the ongoing support.
Oh, and that is so invaluable. It's missing in most of our lives, a kind of real ongoing support. And
that's genuine.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. And ultimately, I would, Catherine and I would like to create a kind of community environment where there is that kind of ongoing support for everybody.
Great.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Sure.
So we're at the top of the hour, everyone.
One comment is please take some water in, and if you notice anything coming up, to be gentle with yourself around any feelings that may be coming up. And if you need to contact either one of us, please don't hesitate to do that.
Yeah. It's a good observation. Sometimes we don't realize how much we've been affected by a deep inner process, and if you're feeling, if feelings are stirred up or there's anything that, feels a little different than normal, just understand that is part of the process. Give yourself plenty of soothing, maybe take a bath and, rest, or just, like I always like to tell people, I stroke my heart, and it feels so good. So I recommend that.
Gentle.
Yeah. There's that little part inside that feels touched and held when we do that, I think our heart is where that hurt inner child resides, and so just tenderly stroking that center of the chest where the heart center is very healing to that part of us that needs to be comforted. So I thank you all so much, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much.
Thanks
everyone else.
Blessings.
Have a wonderful week.
Have a wonderful week, and blessings on your journey, all of you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.